SEA Today.
Alright, welcome back everyone to A's Online Virtual Classroom. This is your boy Andre, bringing you SEA Today by A's Online Tutoring Services. Exam success at your fingertips. So, if you haven't done it as yet, you gotta hit that subscribe button because we have 90 more days to go until SEA 2021, and we have a lot more coming, a lot more announcements to make, a lot more things to get off the ground. But most importantly, we have to make sure we are ready for SEA 2021. So we're going to continue today with where we left off. Last time we were looking at the specimen paper from 2019 for English language, and we started the comprehension. So all our previous videos, if you haven't caught up with the most recent ones or even the ones from the start, you're going to follow that link on top. That will take you to all our videos for SEA Today 2021. And okay, so you're gonna have to pause the video if you don't have your pen, some paper. You might want to take a few notes. And for those of you all who are familiar, you know how we do it. And for those of us who have joined us for the first time, as the timer starts, we will start. So today we're looking at a poem. It's a pretty interesting poem. I like it a lot. So let's get it. So the name of this poem is A Sudden Storm, and there are 5 stanzas in all, and the poet's name is Pius Olgehi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. I hope I am. So I'm going to read it. Yesterday I had the robot reading for me, but today I'll read. So I like poetry, so I'll just carry our music down a little bit so we can focus on the poem. So this is A Sudden Storm by Pius Olgehi. The wind howls, the trees sway, the loose housetops sheets clatter and clang, the open window shuts with a bang, and the sky makes night of day. In a frenzy the parents run, burdened with 1,000 minor cares. Hey you there, pack the household wares, and where on earth's my son? Home skip the little children. Where have you been, you naughty boy? The child feels nothing but joy, for he loves the approach of the rain. The streets clear, the houses fill, the noise gathers as children shout, to rival the raging wind without, and naught that can move is still. A bright flash, a lightning plane, then from the once blue heaven, accompanied by noise that deafens, steadily pours the rain. Alright, so very interesting poem. The rhyming pattern is, it rhymes in the first and last line, and it rhymes in the middle 2 lines to the end of each line, and that's consistent throughout. So let's look at the questions. Alright, so question 1, we're continuing from yesterday, so it's 29. Can I get closer? That's too close. Alright, this is fine. So it says, give 2 words or phrases that appeal to the sense of hearing. So when we say the sense, we have to take note of the 5 common senses that we've been taught since kindergarten, and the sense of hearing is one of them. So when it comes to the poem, we have to find a word or two words or phrases that appeals to our sense of hearing, and that means it makes us, as we read the words, kind of hear exactly what words we're reading in real life. We're hearing it in our mind, right? So the sense of hearing. For example, the wind howls, the trees sway. Now I've been around storms where I've heard the wind howling. It literally sounds like a howl of an animal. And when I read those words, it reminds me of that song. So those words appeal to my sense of hearing. So here I would say the wind howls. Is that the line? Yes, the wind howls. Alright. Next they have the loose house tops, sheets clatter and clang. Clatter and clang. Clatter and clang. Kind of song, I like this song a little bit. But that is another phrase that appeals to my sense of hearing. Clatter and clang, clatter and clang. You can literally hear that, like if something is beating against your roof. So I'm gonna put that for my second answer. Clatter and clang. Wonderful. Number 30. Identify the mood in stanza 1 and give one example to support your answer. So this was an interesting one because I was torn between two moods. Because when we read stanza 1, which we'll do now, the wind howls, the trees sway, the loose house top sheets clatter and clang. The open window is shut with a bang, and the sky makes night of day. So I find this to be a kind of a tense mood because it's like the whole environment is changing around the poet. They're hearing all of these things happening all of a sudden. So tense is one mood, but because I have to give an example, I will use gloomy, because the poem is about a storm approaching, and we know whenever heavy rain or a big hurricane or a big storm is coming, how gloomy and dark the place gets. And we actually have a line that explains that. And the sky makes night of day. So the mood I will put would be gloomy, gloomy, and my example would be line 4. And the sky makes night of day. Alright, another 2 marks. Wonderful. Next. 31. And the sky makes night of day. Line 4. What does this line tell the reader? So now we get a chance to explain what that exactly means. And the sky makes night of day. So to make it, if they're making the sky night, that means it was not dark before, right? So this line tells the reader that the sky suddenly get dark because they say it making night of day, which indicates that it was daytime. And it's not like to say it gradually this, like, let's say sunset. It's more of a sudden kind of thing that took place. So I would say this line tells the reader it suddenly got dark. Alright, so it makes night of day, so it's still daytime, but the sky making it look like it's night. Alright, that's what the line kind of is trying to express. So for number 32 now, we have, why were the parents described as burdened with 1,000 minor cares in line 6? So anytime the question refers to a line, it's always best practice to go back to that line. And they say, in a frenzy the parents run, burdened with 1,000 minor cares. So what does this say? So let's start off our answer. We have to put complete sentence. The parents were described as burdened with 1,000 cares because so if we go to that line again, the lines following, hey you there, pack the household wares, and where on earth's my son? So the parents are running around and they're basically trying to do a lot of different things, and they have to be the responsible ones to make sure that everything is put together and safe from when the storm arrives. So the parents were described as burdened with 1,000 cares because they had a lot to prepare. For when the storm arrives. And this is only one mark, but they spoke about how they had to pack up all the wares. They're looking for the children. They're basically trying to make sure everybody's safe and secure. Alright, so let's look at the next question. Identify 2 examples of personification in the poem. Personification. This word here. 2 examples of personification in the poem. Personification is when it's a figure of speech when you use a human action to describe an inanimate object, or you're giving an inanimate object, a non-living thing, some human reference or action. And in this poem we could see a couple personifications, but the first line itself is an example of one. The wind howls, because you're giving the wind, which is an inanimate thing, you're describing it using something that is not really related to the wind, to something else, like howling, which humans can howl, a person could howl if we choose to, although it's really for wolves. So that will be our first. The wind howls. And like we said yesterday, once it's a list for the answers, you don't have to put a full sentence, it's just the answer. So the other example that I will point out would be here. This line in this stanza, the street's clear. So you're giving the street the ability to kind of clear itself, so to speak. So when it's not the streets clearing, It's people who are leaving the streets, but they use the personification there to enhance the writing of the poem. Alright, so the street's clear and the wind howls. 34. Parents and children have different feelings about the storm. Complete the table below to show these differences. So yeah, we saw that the children in the storm were very happy. And the details from the poem, we could get a line to prove that. And I think that would be here. Home skipped the little children. Where have you been, you naughty boy? The child feels nothing but joy. That will be our evidence. And the parents, their feelings were anxious. So one thing that describes anxiety is somebody kind of panicking and they're running up and down and they're going all over the place. In a frenzy, the parents run. That's one example. And the other one we'll look at is what shows anxiety. That same stanza where the mothers or the parent is like, and where on earth's my son? You know, when parents are anxious, they're looking for the children, they want to know where they are. They want to make sure they are safe. So we're trying to get as much of our answers from the poem itself, because that is where that's how we're going to get our marks. So we're almost there. Number 35. Explain what is suggested by the streets clear, the houses fill. So we were discussing this a little bit just now. So I'll get into it. It says this, we say this suggested that the streets became empty as everyone who was outside went indoors to seek shelter away from the storm, as the storm was most likely very near. So that why would the streets suddenly clear? Why would everybody go inside? It had to be because the storm right around the corner. It's very close. So everybody had to seek shelter indoors. Alright. So we're looking at the next one. It says, according to the poem, identify one word from stanza 4, which means the same as nothing. Alright. So it's a kind of a weird phrasing of the question, but we're looking for a word that means nothing. Okay, stanza 4. Stanza 4. The streets clear, the houses fill, the noise gathers as children shout, to rival the raging wind without, and naught that can move is still. Alright, so I actually learned this word from my grandmother. She would say it a lot. Naught. So instead of saying zero, she would say naught. It's a word that means nothing or zero. Yeah. So N-O-U-G-H-T, And we go in full sentence for this. One word from stanza 4, which means nothing, is not. Alright, so next we have number 37. List two sources of noise mentioned in stanza 4. So we will analyze in stanza 4 here. So we're looking now at two sources of noise. So we hear the streets cleared, the houses fill. The noise gathers as children shout as one source. The two rival. So the children trying to make more noise against the raging wind, the other source of noise. So both of them competing for who can make the most noise. That's what the poet is expressing there. So children shout and raging wind. Great. And we're on our last question for tonight. In your own words, describe what happens in stanza 5. Stanza 5, stanza 5. So in stanza 5, we can read it. It says, a bright flash, a lighted plane. How close can we get? And this is our last question. A bright flash, a lighted plane. Then from the once blue heaven, accompanied by noise that deafens, steadily pours the rain. Okay, so we're trying to figure out this stanza 5. What happened? In our own words for 3 marks. So in my words, I would say a bright flash. That have to be some kind of lightning, and the whole place just kind of light up, the whole sky all around you get kind of bright. Then accompanied by noise that deafens. So when they say the bright flash, what comes after lightning? Thunder. And then the rain finally starts to pour, steadily pour. So we have lightning flashing, thunder rolling. In my own words, in stanza 4, in my own words, stanza 5 is when the poet saw lightning flashing, heard thunder, ran out of space, thunder rolling, and saw the rain pour. 3 points. Hopefully we get our 3 marks. Alright, so that brings us to the end. That's the last question. Yeah, that's number 38. That brings us to the end of our session for today. This is SEA Today by A's Online Tutoring Services. Thank you very much for joining me and sticking throughout the whole video. Your preparation today is going to make your life a lot easier tomorrow when you have to face that exam. Tomorrow is eventually going to come, eh? Remember that. So, If you haven't done it, subscribe, hit that like button, and make sure and share this with all your friends so that everybody could be as prepared as they can be for SCA 2021. Alright, so thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow for another go at it. Alright, peace.
SEA Today.